Good morning. Apologies. Let me just work. Ah, yes, we're live. Let me just check in my group. Waiting. I don't think we're quite live yet. Yes, we are. Hello. Good morning, everybody. Surprise live. I did say I'd go live 9:30 every morning, so I'm a bit early today, but I'm trying to work out a time that works well for you, that's not interrupting your work day too much. And I thought 9:30 might be a bit tricky because it's the start of the work day and you might want to get totally tucked into your emails and maybe your coffee and all the rest of it. So here I am at 7:30, jumping on live to see what we can do to get things moving. Okay, the topic today is creating engaged teams. Why is it that you see those teams out there that have just got it together and that they work so well and they're producing results all the time? Well, let me tell you this. There's a number of things that we talked about last week, which is creating and setting expectations. The first tip I'm going to give you today: check in on those expectations regularly because they change. We talk about performance reviews and making sure that the annual review is not the only review you do. Leaving it for a year and then having a discussion with someone about how they're performing or how you feel they're performing, it just doesn't work these days, and it is slightly outdated. So you want to get to that. If your company is one that does do the annual performance review as a formality, you want your team member to get there with the clear understanding of how they're performing. And how does that happen? Regular conversations. Keep having those regular conversations. Get to know where they're at in their role, in their own world, at home, outside of work. Get to know them a bit better. And make sure that you're always checking in on how they're going. And if they've got an issue with the work that they're doing, bring it up. Bring it up with them. Don't be afraid to have those difficult conversations with people, because that's where the expectations are getting met. Because you're constantly checking in to say, hey, how's things going? I've noticed over here that, I think we need a little bit of work on your attendance. What's going on for you? Get in and try and understand the why things aren't quite working for them. Why aren't we reaching our targets? What's going on for you? And make it about them and ask them questions rather than trying to just set the scene and say, hey, this is going wrong. I will do a session on difficult conversations and how to have them in the coming weeks. So keep an eye out for that. Let me know in the box below what time works for you best for me to be giving you these sessions. I didn't send any notifications out this week. It has been an insanely crazy week with everything going on. No excuse. I should have let you know that I'm jumping on. But you know what? From time to time, I'm going to change it up and I'm going to make sure you're there and listening and wanting, information. So check if you're listening. Say hello below, give me a thumbs up. If you want to let me know what time works best for you guys, shoot it down in the comments below and I'll make sure that I can meet those at least sometimes so that we're all live on. Okay, so what I want to go into today is, as I said, expectations again, but checking in on them regularly. I also wanted to talk about engagement and how do we engage our employees. There's a bit of a language out there at the moment that says, excuse me, how do I get my employees motivated? Have you ever tried to go to the gym and you just can't seem to get motivated to do it? Why? Is someone outside going to say, hey, pushing you to go, hey, you should go to the gym, you should go to the gym, you should go to the gym, is that going to motivate you to do it? No. It doesn't motivate me. I see all my ads on Facebook and I scroll through them and I'm like, oh yeah, I should go to the gym in the morning. Does it get me there? No. Motivation is intrinsic. It's internal. It ebbs and it flows. Some days you are super motivated. You're like, yeah, we're going to get this done. Let's go to the gym and let's go and, paint the house. And then other days, you know what? I just want to rest. I really can't be bothered. That sort of motivation, trying to motivate your teams, it's not actually your responsibility. That's their internal factor. What you can do is engage your teams. How do we engage our teams? I'm going to go through 4 principles of emotional needs of human beings. We're going to work through how they apply to people at work. People at work and people at home are still people. People at work still have emotions. We still need to work with those emotions, yeah? So whilst we're not counsellors, whilst we're not, psychotherapists, we are managers and we are dealing with real people in real time that have real emotions and want to feel safe at work and want to achieve. And with the 4 topics I'm going to go through now, the 4 emotional needs. As managers, we just want to keep them in mind. And I found that this is a really good way to create engagement. So I'm going to rattle them off now. Certainty. People want certainty at work. I want something consistent. I want to make sure that when I go to work, I know what my day consists of. I know what my week consists of. I know what my month consists of. Yeah, there's a level of certainty that I know that if I do this, this is the result I'm going to get. I know that if I'm going to talk to my manager about anything that's going on for me at the moment, I know that I feel safe doing so. Yeah, because we've created trust by being consistent and setting clear expectations. Yeah, so we've got this trust happening. So I know for certain that if I go to my manager, this will happen. It can also happen in the negative too. So, I know that if I go and talk to my manager about my feelings, I'm going to get an eye roll, and so therefore I won't. So be mindful of what our body language says as much as our vocabulary. But certainty. People want to go to work and have certainty that when I do something, this will happen. Excuse me, it's my first cup of coffee for the morning. What else do we want out of work? Variety, the complete opposite. Variety. We also want variety, that can be challenging in massive organisations. But if we're in a small to medium organisation, the beauty of this is somewhere along the lines within that person's role, I can create some variety for them. Whether that means I put it in their position description and make it, a part of their role, I don't know. But maybe one day, hey, look, I've got some need over in customer support. Why don't you go and learn what they're doing for a little bit instead of sitting here in the accounts team? Why don't you go over and learn what they're doing so that you can be a bit of a backup? We might throw you in there if that interests you, if that gives you a sense of variety. Also, what about, this, I've got a project coming up. I really need to be looking at how I'm going to engage people on social media. And I noticed that you've talked about your interest in that area. Do you think you could investigate for me and come back with a proposal on how you might actually do that for us? Thank you, receptionist, I don't know. But taking someone out and giving them a little project to do that can help move your business forward can really bring a sense of variety to the workplace. I mean, think about it at the moment. We're in lockdown, right? And, it's a bit of the same. And you're constantly coming up with new ways to try and introduce some variety in the house. But, Monday's steak night, Tuesday's pasta night. Like, I don't know how I've fallen into my mum's cooking regime, but given that we're working, we're homeschooling, we've got toddlers, we're both working, given that this is going on, I think a bit of that routine kind of takes the pressure off, and the meal prep's on the fridge, so everybody knows what's for dinner. How exciting, right? Yeah, we know what's coming up for dinner, but you know what? It's really nice, really, really nice when we order out and actually support a local business and bring dinner home and say, you know what? Let's eat something different for a change that mum didn't have to prepare or dad didn't have to prepare. That little sense of variety in a very certain, consistent, expected world brings a little bit of joy, and it actually creates more conversation. Now, you don't have to do it through projects at work. You can do it through simple things like, let's have middle of the day break. Stop. Okay, stop, everybody, stop what you're doing. Let's have a meditation. Let's get someone in to provide us with a group meditation. Yeah, things get a bit crazy. Let's just stop. Let's have a breakfast group. You know, there are a number of ideas at the moment that can keep some variety in your team, and it doesn't necessarily always have to be work related, but if it is work related, it is going to have the impact of creating a more engaged person in the team, because they know that they're contributing on a completely different level than what they were employed to do. Now, I know that I was employed to come in here and answer the phones and give fabulous customer service, and I love that and I'm passionate about that, and my manager's great, but gee, wouldn't it be good if I could just do something a little bit different? Excuse me. So how do we do that? How do we do that? How do we then say, okay, what is it that I can help this person do? Ask them. Or if we're having regular conversations about performance and, hey, you're going really well over here, what can I do, to spice things up at work? Hopefully they've got enough trust in you to be able to tell you. This can be really challenging with the younger workforce who are new to work. Okay, I want you to bear this in mind. This is when you've got some really young employees who've just started in the workforce. They're not necessarily told to think outside of the box, and if they've worked somewhere before, generally in a junior position, they've generally just been told what to do. So I want you to just remember that they might not be so forthcoming, perhaps in a group situation if you're talking about it, and even in a one-on-one. But if they see you starting to implement things for other people, they will. Hi, Gillian, I was thinking of you. How are you? They will, if you start to implement these things for other people, the junior team members will actually start to see, hey, this person, my manager, is actually starting to implement these little tasks for other people. Maybe if I put my hand up, I can get a different task in my role, and or a little project that's going to get me excited, and that's going to create a sense of variety in the workplace, and that will create more engagement with your teams. It's really exciting because to step outside of your own role for a moment and jump in and do something different, get that little buzz, and when they know the importance of how it's contributing to your team performance, to your company performance, you know what? You're kicking goals. The next thing out of the 4 emotional needs, and Gillian, you'll be really familiar with these, the 4 emotional needs that apply to every human being, is significance. So inside of work, outside of work, people want to feel significant. How do I bring that significance into the workplace? This is where a good reward and recognition program comes into play. And so many businesses miss out on this opportunity. As I've worked for managers that just go, we don't need that. But you know what? If your business or your company doesn't have that, you can still do little things within your team to reward and recognize people for outstanding performance. Just have a think about what it is that your team's trying to achieve. Work out what is above and beyond an exceptional performance, and work out how you're going to reward them. And it could be as simple as go and have a half day off, go and have coffee on us, go and have, or here's some, if you're so inclined, here's some extra learning tools that we can get you to add to your resume. Don't underestimate the power of those little workshops that you can do that give someone a certificate that they can add to their resume. Massive, LinkedIn's really good for that. LinkedIn Learning's really good for that. But there are other tools and programs that you can use as well. And adding those little tools to someone's, resume makes them start to feel really significant. Not only have you selected them out to say, hey, well done, you've done an extremely good job at whatever, you've given them something that makes them feel even more significant because they're learning more in their role, they're developing more as an individual in the professional space. So those little tips about providing significance within the workplace, it's an emotional need that we all want to feel significant at some level, still applies to the workplace. There are just these little things that we can do. And if it's not, as big as go and do some training, it can be as simple as go and have a cup of coffee on us. It doesn't really need to be all that extravagant. And the fourth one we want to talk about in the emotional space, in creating engaged team, is connection. As human beings, we thrive to be connected with other human beings. And I watch my son, and he's 17 months old, and hasn't had a great deal of connection with other people because we've been in lockdown. And I watched him the other day. We had to go to his eye appointment to get his glasses checked. And he's 17 months old, and he's in there, and he just stopped and he saw these other kids there. And he was like, oh, I just want to go and connect with these other kids. And he walked over there and he just stood there and he waved like, hi. It was the most adorable thing to watch. It's so innate as a human being that we want to feel connected. And I think sometimes we forget that in the workplace because it's all about work. It's like, let's get the job done, let's get this done. So for me, it's about check in on how you can connect your team. Yes, there are a lot of team building workshops out there. There's a lot of other things you can be doing. But even some simple things, just getting together in a work sense and discussing things, that creates connection. Making sure that you can provide a space where everybody can contribute. That's fantastic. If they're not contributing, don't prompt them. Maybe talk to them one-on-one outside of that if they're not contributing to a work conversation. If you're trying to create connection through a work conversation, perhaps maybe have a one-on-one if they're not contributing and ask why they don't feel comfortable. Remember, I mentioned junior employees. They're not necessarily used to working in a workspace where you can have these conversations because they've been at school, they've been at university, they've been in this learning mode. And if they are then if they have been working, they've been working somewhere like McDonald's, I'll give that because that's my example, and you're just told what to do. Here's what you do. Yeah. So coming into a space that provides this opportunity to speak is not coming natural to them. So if you're trying to create connection through team and having work conversations, it's not for everyone to speak up in front of people. So it's about how do we create the trust in everybody that I can say something and I'm not going to get, I'm not going to feel embarrassed or reprimanded for saying the wrong thing. And that sometimes will only happen through time. You might need to pick a champion in your group, in your team, to start filling in the conversation for you. I know that, I've run team facilitation workshops, and you go and ask a question, you bring all this energy to the group, and then there's just like crickets. So you're like, all right, I'm going to pick a volunteer to actually say something. Maybe if you're going to have a team meeting and you know that someone is going to be that person who can actually speak up and contribute to the conversation. Maybe word them up beforehand that you're going to call on them to answer some questions, because you might say, oh look, we've got a few new team members here, and look, I really trust that you're going to bring to the conversation, would you mind? Because once you bring it, I'm hoping that the others will feel more comfortable following. Don't give up on the first try. Have it, make sure that you just keep trying, and have those one-on-one conversations with the people who aren't contributing to those team meetings afterwards, and just say, hey, I'm just wondering why you didn't feel comfortable. That's okay, it's not for everybody, but we really value your input. And that hopefully you'll end up building a beautiful team that does create connection through work meetings or work workshops or development or whatever it is you might be implementing. Wow, that was a mouthful. I've got to learn to take a breath in these things. The other way to create connection is actually having out of work catch-ups, so people can get to know each other on that basic human level. What are you interested in, and what grabs your fancy, or let's go have a cup of coffee, or let's have lunch together, or let's I don't know, let's go to a yoga together. I don't know, but creating those workshop out of work opportunities to connect, that develops your team on another level. When you've started creating certainty and variety, you've given your people significance. Significance can come in a team value as well, by, as we discussed last week, taking that team and saying, here's what our team does for this business, or here's what our team does for this customer, or Jillian, here's what our team does for the kids. Yeah, so getting them to feel important about their roles within the company also builds that significance. So there's layers that we can work on. Connection. Once you've identified your way of how you're going to handle these 4 emotions, and popping them into your workplace and growing those, wow, your team's going to be supercharged, and they're going to be really ready to do the work for you, because you've created a really safe space. You've given them emotional needs, you've given them professional expectations and personal expectations, if that's part of the conversation you want to have. This, you've set the expectations, you've gone over your HR processes, you've set the boundaries, now you're off to fly. So I hope you found this little session useful. Pop it in the comments if, as I mentioned earlier, if there's a time that works better for you for me to go on these lives. I will announce them in future. Thought I'd do a surprise live today. But pop it in the comments if there's a time that suits you better. If you also, if there's anything in particular that you'd like to work on, please feel free to yell out. I'm quite open to suggestion on what your individual issues are, because I guarantee that there's a theme that runs through. If you're having an issue, someone else is having it, and they're going to want to hear about your hear about it too. So I'm quite happy to answer any questions in particular. But next week we've got a big one coming, so enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you, Jillian, for joining, and have an absolutely fabulous Thursday. Thank you.